Hey, listen to this. This is Deuteronomy 30. I'm going to start at verse 11. It says, "Now what I am commanding you today is not too difficult for you or beyond your reach." He said, "It is not up in heaven so that you have to ask, who will ascend into heaven to get it and proclaim it to us so that we may obey it? Nor is it beyond the sea so that you have to ask, who will cross the sea to get it and proclaim it to us so we may obey it? No, the word is very near you. It is in your mouth and your heart so you may obey it." And look, what he's talking about here is, guys, he's talking about the decision of being obedient to God. He's saying, and I love how he's saying this is in the Old Testament so many thousands of years ago. He's saying, he goes as far as the heavens. He says, look, the decision to follow God, to be obedient to God, it's not all the way up in the heavens to where you have to climb this huge religious ladder. Because look, that's what most people get that day. This is what most people think, that I have to climb this huge religious ladder in order to get God, that I've got to be able to read my Bible a whole time. I've got to go to church, and then I'll be able to come to God. He says, look, the far as you can go to the heavens. And then he goes down. He says, it's not too far out and beyond the sea to where somebody has to ask, who will cross the sea. He says it's not too far all the way out, to where you have to almost swim and drown yourself, gasping for air in order to get God. And that's what our culture does. That's what most people think. That might be even what you think, that if I get God, I'm going to have to clean myself up. I've got to work out on myself first. You might even be saying, Stephen, I've got to work on myself first before I even think about coming to God. And God is saying, look, no, you don't. In Matthew, 11:28 through 30, he says, "Come to me who all are weary and burdened." And he's saying in Old Testament, it's not all the way up here, it's not right here, but he says they're right in your mouth and they're in your heart. Look what he says. He goes on to say in verse 15, he says, "See, I set before you today life and prosperity, death and destruction." Look, we've all got a decision to make. He's saying, look, it's not up in the heavens. It's not far out in the sea. He's saying you've got life and prosperity and death and destruction right here in front of your hands. Now, which one are you going to choose? Are you going to choose this life and prosperity? Are you going to choose death and destruction? It's not all the way up here or there. He's saying now, right now. You've got a decision to make. You've got a decision to make right now as you're watching this video. Do I choose life and prosperity or death and destruction? And not making a decision is a decision. Indecision is a decision in itself. And he's saying, look, it's right here. God, he's saying you don't have to go do that. Don't kill yourself over religion trying to find me or to get God. He says you have to make the decision right now to obey me or not. And look what he says. He says, "For I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commands, decrees, and laws. Then you will live and increase, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land you're entering to possess." Guys, God's laws, be honest with me. Be honest with me. If I asked you right now what your first take in your mind is on obeying God and following his commands, you probably get this all of a sudden this thinking this huge burden thing, and Stephen, I can't do that. You know what I mean? You think of all of a sudden trying to keep the Ten Commandments or trying to do this and that. You're thinking, there's no way. Guys, God's law is actually supposed to bless our lives. It says in 1 John, his laws are not burdensome. Guys, if we actually follow Christ, it's not this, oh, I've got to climb this huge religious, political ladder, read my Bible 1,000 times, I've got to pray 20 times a day to make sure to do that. No, but he says just to follow me. His laws are actually for us to have the most spiritually abundant life ever. That doesn't mean to get Cadillacs and cars and a bunch of material, physical things. But guys, God's law is actually for us to prosper. His laws are actually, God's designed it for us to set up to live life and have joy and have it to the fullest. The gospel is the best news on earth. And so I just wanted you to see that wherever you are, I don't know what decision that you've made or what decision you're making right now, but I strongly encourage you. You've got life and prosperity and death and destruction right here. Which one are you going to choose? Because I'm telling you, so many of you will go your whole life holding on to so much burden and pain, and it kills me to know that. When you've got life and prosperity right here through God's laws and His decrees that He's established, and in the new covenant is to give your life to Jesus. It's up to you. You've got to make a decision now. You already have. And maybe that'll change and you can put your eyes upon Jesus, for God to have you live a life full of Jesus. So which decision are you going to make? It's not all the way over here. It's not all the way down here. You don't have to go to a church this Sunday to figure this out. But He says they're in your heart and they're in your mouth. So which one will you choose? I totally, strongly encourage you from the Scriptures to choose Jesus.